We have researched a few different countries, the USA and Australia for Western culture, India and Japan, and looked at how they are culturally different to compare the various aspects of doing business in these countries. Let me introduce you to my group. I'm Ellie.
I'm Eric.
I'm Greta.
I'm Ilya.
And I'm Keris.
I'm going to be talking about the cost of doing business in international markets. Businesses incur many different costs because of globalisation. They need to consider these before entering into new markets. Through my research, I have found that businesses operating in India are required to make 33 tax payments a year, taking 243 hours worth of attention, and this means more money going on labour. The headline corporation tax rate stands at 20 to 40%, but companies also incur charges in the form of central sales tax, dividend tax, property, fuel, vehicle tax, VAT and excess duty. For example, McDonald's standard income tax rate is 35%, however there is a 4.6% variance for international markets. This small percentage is a lot of money for the company to lose just because they're operating in a different country. Japan is the third largest economy in the world, bigger than the UK and Germany combined. In 2014, it made up 6% of the world's gross domestic product. Japan remains the high-tech powerhouse economy of Asia. Therefore, many businesses see the investment of doing business in Japan to be worth the costs. Bringing products into the Japanese market means they need to be tailored to their consumers' unique tastes. This will cost the companies more in research and development, and they'll also need to make changes to their product pricing. For example, when Starbucks entered into Japan, they added specialty drinks, but these additions required them to change the pricing and make the particular products more expensive. People in Japan are also concerned about the environment, so they charge more for people when they don't bring in their own cups and are using takeaway products. This means that they spend more on ad campaigns as people are more conscious concerning waste. So this shows that any business needing to create special products for a target market will end up spending more on the research and development of these products, and they will not be versatile for use in every region.
The culture part in Japan, which is the religion, language, behavior. So now I'm going to tell about the relationship. Shido. Shido is mean about belief itself is natural, something like, for example, like earth, wind, fire, landscape, any other thing is called of God. So yeah, it's the second one, behavior, which is called gambo. Gambo is mean it's like it's doing really hard working, like high motivation. You have to do. It's like focus, achieve without effort. So let me tell you about disadvantage. Disadvantage about gamble. For example, let's say in the company, and then one of the managers they call say gamble. I mean, you have to do work. You have to be finished. Come on, like you have to keep on and on until when you achieve maybe before a day. And then the person trying to motivation is good, but it can be affect their life, social and mental health, because it's like it's high mental like stress, because the gamble is like it's made of a promise, which means not likely failure. That's how the Japan traditional about the third one, language, which is called non-verbal communication, which is called silent communication. Doesn't mean like listen is quiet, do nothing, no. Okay, let's, for example, if you imagine when you have classroom, when you're in the meeting room, whatever, one person, if you talk, everyone have to be silent. Only can respond, say yes or no. If you're not sure, you want to ask questions, they can't do that. You have to ask, when you finish of discussion or meeting or finish, then you can ask. If you're not sure, you have to shake no, and then you look down, which means the teacher can recognize you, they know that you're not sure. So otherwise, if they interrupt it, it's really, really rude. Because if you interrupt it, because the reason in Japan is believed that they want to smooth without waste of time, they want to finish off, that's it. And then when after they can talk about what happened actually. However, it's many different countries. It's very difficult to understand the Japan communication, because Japan is acting the way like it's silent, but it doesn't mean like they don't know anything because they ask you, are you alright? Are you doing it? Like talking about how you're doing social life because it's difficult in Japan. There's the low emotion means higher some behavior like stress, have a bad day. So it's difficult, you know, if it's working in the colleagues like America or the other different country. Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking about Western cultures, and their main principles being collaborative and valuing strong work ethic, having good courtesy and formal relations, and being straightforward and direct. So long-standing relationships aren't necessary, whereas comparing this to Eastern cultures, like Japan, there needs to be like a long relationship in order for them to have trust in you, and then in order for them to do business with you. Another comparison would be communication, where in Western cultures communication is more non-verbal. In Eastern cultures communication is more non-verbal, and in Western cultures they tend to be very like vocal in meetings and disagree, yes, no, out loud rather than just nodding along. Time management. Time management is taken very seriously in Western cultures, and punctuality is important. Comparing this to Eastern cultures, there are a few countries that have their exceptions, where it's okay to be 10 minutes or so late and it's not considered rude or so. Whereas in Western cultures, deadlines are set and adhered to, and if they're not met, then it shows lack of professionalism. Greetings is a firm handshake and a friendly smile, and gifts are very rare to give on greeting in Western cultures, whereas in Eastern cultures they tend to give gifts to show like trust and as like their main greeting. Meeting management, for example, in Australia, they get down to business straight away with minimal small talk, prioritising time efficiency. Whereas Eastern cultures must develop the relationship, as I said before, with Japan. It's good to have that long-standing, long-term relationship that has been built up over time and lasts a long time. Whereas Western cultures, they don't need that, and they can have short relationships, and they tend to be short-term anyway. So once that business is done, presentations are usually straightforward and open, backed with facts and figures. Confrontation and pressure tactics should be avoided, instead going with a win-win negotiating style. However, Australians, as an example of Western culture, still aren't afraid to say no, and it's quite good to have that person that speaks out. And it's good to have a sense of humour, whereas in Eastern cultures it's very strict and they like to keep it very formal. As I said, Eastern cultures don't like confrontation that much and don't like disagreement. However, individual achievements are highly praised in Western cultures comparing to Eastern cultures, where the focus is on group work to show cooperation and showing that everyone can work together. In Western cultures there is a lot of privacy as well. However, comparing this back to Eastern cultures, if you hold back information, it's considered very disrespectful and rude, so it could jeopardise the business relationship.
Hello. So I'm going to talk about the economic development of the UK and the USA, the future predicted development, and how culture may affect it. The question is, does culture have a causal effect on economic development? Well, the data on the European regions suggests that it does. Culture is measured by indicators of individual values and beliefs, such as respect for others and confidence in individual self-determination. To isolate the exogenous variation in culture, we rely on two historical variables used as instruments: the literacy rate at the end of the 19th century and the political institutions in place over the past several centuries. So these two things really does predict the likely effect of culture on economic development. The political and social history of Europe provides a rich source of variation in these two variables at a regional level. The exogenous component of culture, due to history, is strongly correlated with current regional economic development after controlling for contemporaneous education, urbanization rates around 1850, and national ethics. Economic freedom, the ability of a society to conduct business in an unfettered manner without government intrusion, is the key determinant of an economic's significant role in shaping a nation's business environment. Now, if you look at the statistics of the UK and the USA and the predictions, here it goes. The Federal Reserve predicts that economic growth as measured by the GDP, which is the gross domestic product, will rise to 2.4% by 2019, which is very near. The federal budget to cut through to 2021, but that could be repelled under a Trump presidency. Trump promised to reduce the debt, but his policies may increase it by $5.6 trillion. So the uncertainty is high with Trump's administration and how he's going to handle things. With his impulsive decisions, it's very uncertain. Economic growth in the UK is projected to increase slightly in 2019. Now, all this is under the Brexit scenario, before slowing in 2020, on the assumption that there is a smooth exit from the European Union. Some Brexit-related uncertainties are there and will remain till there is clarity about future trade agreements. The fiscal impulse is expected to peak in 2019. The authorities should stand ready to respond further if the demand weakens significantly. The US debt in relation to the UK exceeded $21 trillion in 2018. It remained stable for a while after sequestration kicked in, which required a mandatory 10 as a result of Brexit. Economically, which is a suggestion, the preferred Brexit option should be to forge an agreement that will ensure the closest possible trading relationship with the European Union, so that there is a smooth transition from Britain's exit from the European Union. And the entire economic situation depends on that, and culture and globalization will probably have a minimum impact in this, because the whole situation depends on the political standpoint and the decisions made by the political leaders of the UK, which is Theresa May, and the deal which she's going to cut, and in the USA, Trump's presidency.
Hello, I'm going to be talking about India's development. Compared to USA, India is not that developed country and still has quite a high level of poverty and large level of people living under the poverty line. However, India is developing really fast last several decades and significantly fast since the Prime Minister Modi took the office in 2014. The country's economy has been growing with 7% every year, and that makes it second fastest growing economy in the world after China. According to Focus Economists, the experts' forecast is that India's economic growth is going to follow this tendency and keep growing, becoming one of the largest world economies in the world by 2050, reaching $5 trillion gross domestic product by then, as the current number is $2.848 trillion for 2018, comparing to USA, which is $19.3 trillion gross domestic product. India's economy gross domestic product division is as follows. For agriculture is 70.5%, for industry is 90.8%, and for services is 50.43%, comparing to USA, which is for agriculture is very low, 0.09%, industry 29%, and for services is higher, 8.1%. But that numbers, we can see that India's economy is more balanced than Americans, and having industrial sectors share 29% and agriculture sector share 17.5%. However, in order to keep growing and become a developed country, India has to consider some improvement in their infrastructure. It has some gaps at the moment in in relation to the roads and airports. They also have to decrease the level of poverty in the country by spending more money on human education and social system in general.